Keek on the mic, keek on the mic, keek on the mic, keek on the mic. People, this the intro.
Talk bad about my team, you must be a clown. This is Keek on the mic, so you know you better bear down. Bear down.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? We are back for yet another pregame show as Chicago Bears hit primetime football on Thursday Night Football to take on the Washington Commanders. Once again, I am joined by my co-host, Isaiah Frey. How you doing, Isaiah?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing all right. 0-4, Isaiah. That's all I have to say. 0-4. I'm after a crushing loss where the Bears were up, 21 points. The Broncos scored 24 unanswered points. Go ahead and tell me your emotions and you know, your thought process during that game.
This is disappointing. I think anytime you're up by that much in a game, you deserve the win, right? But I feel like they just find a way to lose games, and it's unfortunate, man, because Justin Fields had a good game. He had a good game and did what he was supposed to do. There's just a lot of things wrong with the team right now, and you know, we can get into it as we continue to talk, but I think it's just not good stuff. You know, for us to have our records that we predicted at the beginning of the year, they would have to go undefeated almost for the rest of the year. So I would say this has been a big disappointment.
And the thing that's funny is that they're still winnable games, but the Bears they don't know how to win. That it's like they really don't know how to win, and you know, Sunday is proof that they don't know how to win. I think the most frustrating part about this is, first off, I think the Chicago Bears are cursed ever since they fired Lovie Smith after going 10-6. I think that is the reason why they're going down this trend, this rabbit hole where they can't find a decent head coach, because Lovie Smith was their last really good head coach and they fired him after a 10-6 record. That's just my theory, my philosophy, that I think the Chicago Bears are cursed. Second of all, it's really discouraging after your quarterback had a career day in a Chicago Bears uniform. 28 for 35, 335 yards, 4 passing touchdowns. He finally looked free, playing like Justin Fields, right? They put him in the best situation to succeed, and the defense just cannot do their job and help him out.
Yeah, you know, and the issue remains the same. There's no pass rush. They have 0 pass rush on the defense, and anytime, like I said at the beginning of the year, if you don't have a pass rush, I don't care if you have Darrelle Revis and Deion Sanders playing corner for you, it's not going to work. You know, when you're constructing the defense, especially with this scheme, you have to have 4 guys that can get after it, and that's what they don't have right now, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and you know, it is frustrating because now the Bears are up to 14 straight losses. We're about to come on a full calendar year since they last won a football game. So I kind of want to get your opinion on this. Obviously, you've played for Matt Eberflus before. What is your opinion on him, and do you think his time is up in Chicago?
Unfortunately, I do. I like him. He's a good dude, man. You know, liked him as a coach. I think, you know, we're in a production business right now. We've always been that way. And if you're just not producing on the field, you're not getting the wins, then, you know, sometimes it's time to look elsewhere. And these are the times where you start to see, like, you know, you can point at a whole bunch of different things. You can point at the fact that maybe he took on a roster that he wasn't quite ready for.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he made some mistakes along the way. You know, I think maybe Poles made some wrong decisions in constructing the roster as well. But when you look at it as a whole, it's just not working. Nothing's clicking. And for them to move forward, it's going to have to be a clean house at the end of the season. They can't. They're kind of with their hands tied right now as far as making a decision, because if you fire Eberflus right now, who's your head coach?
Yeah.
Getty? You don't have a DC.
Worse.
Yeah, it gets worse. So
yeah,
you know, you're going to have to write it out. And the only silver lining that you can get with this is hopefully they improve. But even then, I think Bears fans would want them to not improve because of where they're standing right now.
Yeah, at this point, you have a good point. Where they're standing at right now, they're 0-4, right? The Carolina Panthers are 0-4. What's significant about that, Isaiah, is that now we hold the number 1 and 2 overall picks the season of the day. That's historic, right? To have the top 2 picks in the NFL draft. You then control the entire draft. If we want to draft the quarterback, if not, I don't know. You know, there's still a long season ahead. How are you feeling about Justin Fields right now? You know, he finally had that breakout game, even though people were like, oh, he was supposed to do that against the Denver Broncos. But my thing is, you know, if he went out there and threw for 150 yards, then people would be talking bad about him. So he did what he was supposed to do, you know, against to me, not really a great defense right now in the Denver Broncos. So how are you feeling about Justin Fields moving forward?
I mean, I I stand by how I feel about him. I think he's a really good quarterback who can be great at some point in his career. Do I think that's going to be here in Chicago? If you would have asked me before the season, I would have said yes.
Okay.
Where they're at now, I don't see that happening. I still think he's going to be a great quarterback at some point in his career, but I think just for Chicago and for the fans and for everybody involved, I think a clean slate is the only way to go right now. And then that means getting a new coach who gets to pick who he wants to play quarterback.
Right. Right. I totally agree. You know, obviously I hate to say it because I want Justin Fields to work out in Chicago. I feel like he still has the tendency to be that franchise guy. But I think Justin Fields, his confidence as a Chicago Bear is fading. And I think after that game, the way that he played, and it still wasn't enough to win, he sat on the sideline just with a blank stare. And I heard that he was in the locker room laying down in his locker with a blank stare for about 20 to 30 minutes, just in disbelief that they actually lost that game. So I think his confidence is fading. Something tells me, even though it would be really hard for Ryan Poles to do, because I think Ryan Poles is going to have to play for his job or fight for his job as well. And it makes a lot of sense for Ryan Poles to want to move on and pick his guy because he has no ties to Justin Fields. I understand that. So it's easy to reset the, rookie quarterback market, right? Or the contract situation by picking a guy like Caleb Williams. But it wouldn't surprise me if Justin Fields continues to play this way and it's not on Justin Fields, that maybe they give him one more opportunity as well.
Yeah, that's what I would hope for. That'd be ideal in everybody's situation. But I think you look at it from Ryan Poles' standpoint, right? Yeah. You say maybe they don't win these next couple of games and Justin Fields continues to play well. At that point, you start to think if there's possibly some teams out there that'll probably take him now.
That's true.
And you trade him away now and get some more assets, and then you get to restart next year. It's like those are things that are going to be popping up as these weeks continue to move forward. So
yeah,
there's some tough decisions coming along here within the next 4 to 5 weeks for sure.
Yeah, and you make a great point because, what good is it going to do for Justin Fields' confidence as a player and his development, just holding them back here in Chicago, right? Because at this point, this is where players in general, especially quarterbacks, come to die, to watch their careers die. And I would hate to see that for Justin Fields. A situation that keeps coming up on around social media is Atlanta with Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect spot. He's from Atlanta, Georgia, right? That's his hometown, right? So it makes too much sense. I'm going to continue to keep the faith that hopefully things turn around. Maybe
Me too. I hope so.
We have 13 games left. Maybe he can win 6 of those to prove that, okay, we just have to get that win. We have to get that first win because I think once you get that first win, things can start rolling from there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, I've been a part of these situations before, man. Like, you spoke of the Lovie Smith situation. I was on the team at the time when we went 10-6, and then they fired him. Didn't make any sense. But I also was with Lovie when we went 2-14 in Tampa, and it's like you said the word curse. When you're a loser, you always find ways to lose. Whether you're winning the game or whatever, it can be the most ridiculous way to lose. But if you're losing at the time, you'll find a way to lose. So like you said, if they can get on the winning track and just figure out how to win and get that feeling, then the tide will start to turn.
Yeah, and going back to Denver one last second before we move on to the pregame for the Commanders, losing the way they did, up 28-7, going into the fourth, I just feel like that was the nail in the coffin for Matt Eberflus and the rest of this coaching staff. And I strongly believe, I know it's not the McCaskey way to fire coaches midseason, but I feel like if we lose on Thursday night to the Commanders, which is very possible, the Commanders are a very up-and-coming, very talented young team. If they get embarrassed on Thursday Night Football, I think he gets fired Friday morning. That's just my personal opinion. I know the Bears don't do that often, but at this point, you should just cut your losses now and move forward.
Yeah, that's a possibility. It's just the only thing I wonder is who takes over as interim and how do you finish the season out? Like, it's going to be a legit, for lack of better words, a shit show.
It would be. You would be officially tanking at that point.
Exactly, because it's they fired. I don't know if he fired or he left on his own, but their DC already left, so Eberflus is calling the defense now.
Right.
So you let him go. Who's calling the defense now?
Right. That there's questions that have to be answered. So that's why they would have to go through many hurdles. Like, hey, maybe we should just let them finish it out. If we go 0-17, we go 0-17, right? So
right. Yeah. I mean, if you go 0-17 and then the Panthers go whatever, that's a win in itself. So we'll see.
Yeah. So there is positives to this too. I know
Yeah.
it sounds cliche to say that at this moment that there's positives, but there is. If you have the number 1 and 2 overall pick, that should get you to propel things a little bit with, especially with Marvin Harrison Jr., some great left tackles, some great edge rushers. If you choose to take a quarterback, there's a couple of good quarterbacks out there, right?
Right.
So having 1 and 2 would be huge assets for the Chicago Bears rebuild, especially Ryan Poles.
Definitely. Most definitely.
So now, Isaiah, let's go ahead and move on to this Thursday night football matchup. I don't know who the hell thought it was a good idea to put the Chicago Bears on prime time anyway, especially now.
Right.
But tell me your initial reaction to this matchup against the Washington Commanders.
It's going to be a good game. Commanders are not playing bad right now.
They're not.
They lost some games they probably could have won, and they won some games they probably could have lost. But they're in a position right now where this is a game they want to come in and win because they're fighting for stuff right now. Chicago's just fighting to get a win.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a battle. And as you know, short weeks, man, they always turn out to be really good games just for the fact that you don't get time to prepare for them. So it can go either way. And the way it looks if I'm just basing off of last week at how Chicago played, they're going to come in pretty down from the way they lost, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is a mess in Chicago right now. They are a broken football team. I don't think they really believe in what Matt Eberflus is preaching at this point. I think they're going to continue to play hard because it's a pride thing. They're trying their best to get a win. But like you just mentioned earlier in this episode, that bad teams figure out ways to continue to lose. Right? When you're on a 14-game losing streak, it's just like it seems like you can't dig yourself out of that hole, right? And when you look at Washington, like you said, they're 2-2. There's their chance to get above 500 in a very tough division where they have to play the Cowboys twice, where they have to play the Eagles twice, right? So this is a game to me that the pressure is on Washington. They're supposed to win this game. The Bears at this point are not supposed to win any games, right? Going down the road of the Bears, the way they're playing, the way they're losing, they're going to be 0-17 team with the number 1 overall pick in next April's draft. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. I mean, that's where they're heading. I mean, I can't see any other way, but in Bears fashion, you would start to think that probably week 10 and week 11, they'll probably win a game or two and then they'll start going to win seasons. Like, dude, at this point, no, you might as well just continue to lose. So I think that would make Bears fans even more mad if they were to do that instead of, kind of figure it out. Let's hope they get a win this week and then they can figure it out and just get on a winning streak. But if not, they need to just continue to stay on the losing train.
And that's the thing. This is the last chance for them to kind of have a sliver of hope. I know I'm not going to sit here and talk about playoffs. I feel that ship has sailed a long time ago. But I feel like if you win on Thursday night, you're 1-4. You go into a little mini bye, right? So you kind of get a chance to get healthy. And there's some positives to this, right, as well, because there's a couple of positives going into this game. One, it looks like the Bears are going to get Tevin Jenkins back. Their star guard. I think he's looking good to play on Thursday night, dealing with calf injuries, but it looks like he's good to go. That is huge for the Chicago Bears offensive line because now Lucas Patrick can go back to the bench. Lucas Patrick, thank you for your service. You didn't play very well. So you could put Tevin Jenkins back at left guard. Maybe Cody Whitehair is an upgrade at center. Not sure. But just having Tevin Jenkins out there will be huge for the Bears offensive line. And then also the way that the Bears offense played against the Denver Broncos. Yes, I understand Denver's defense has been struggling to start the season. And I understand that Washington Commanders have a very good defensive line. But maybe the way that Justin Fields played and the way that Luke Getsy called the game, maybe that momentum will carry over to this game. So maybe we'll start seeing some more offensive fireworks by this Bears offense and Justin Fields.
Definitely. I don't put too much stock in it. He should perform well against a team that gave up 70 points. No, at the end of the day, it's a professional football team. I don't care what that is. 4 touchdowns is 4 touchdowns, man. So, that like you said, that's something to build on and be confident in moving forward. So, hopefully they can kind of, keep that going when they play Washington. But like you said, their D-line is legit. So it's going to be a tough get for them.
Yeah. And, for me, when I look at the season, and I felt like I was like this last year too, Isaiah. I was very much like, okay, I don't care about the result. Of course, I want to see my team win, especially now we need to get a win to get off this losing streak. Right. But to me, it's about Justin Fields and his development. I think last week was something, his performance was like, okay, maybe he can finally get things going, right? Get things clicking. And I think it starts with Luke Getsy keeping Justin Fields in good situations to succeed. And something that we need to monitor is that in last week's game, and this has been kind of leading up, right? We start seeing DJ Moore starting to heat up from weeks 2 to 4. He's starting to heat up, right? Cole Kmet really started to heat up in that game against the Denver Broncos. So he's starting to connect. Even Darnell Mooney had a couple of big catches against the Denver Broncos. So the offense is it's going to start to heat up and starting to click a little bit more each week. And then, like I mentioned, you're getting one of your best offensive linemen back this week as well. So to me, it's all about Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears offense. And for the defense, there's really not much to say. I think it's going to be the same thing every week. We have to find a way to get pressure. 2 sacks in 4 games is unacceptable.
Yeah, that was the issue coming into the season. We called it. Like, I don't care that you pick up Edmonds and get all these high profile guys behind. If you don't have guys on the D line that can play, man, your defense will not be good. It is 100% guaranteed. The way you construct the defense is you start with the front 4 first. That is automatic because they can make anybody behind them look better than they actually are. Yeah. So for the fact that they're coming in the season with guys that don't have the experience to be successful in the type of defense that they're running is blasphemy, honestly, because it's like they know what they need. Yeah, they know if you're in a Tampa 2 scheme with the scheme that they're running, you have to have a front 4. They don't have a Julius Peppers. You know what I mean? They don't have a Henry Melton. They don't have a Corey Wooten, those type of guys that can get after the guys. So it's going to be ineffective, and it's frustrating to see.
And, Isaiah, moving forward, for me personally, I think as long as the offense can do their job, it's going to be a lot like last year, because that's what last week's game kind of reminded me of. There was a couple of games last year where Justin Fields played lights out, and the defense didn't put up their end of the stick, right? They gave up a lot of leads that led to losses, and that's what last Sunday's game reminded me against the Denver Broncos. Up big, the defense didn't do their part, right? So I think as long as the offense can continue to gain momentum, I think they're going to score 20 plus points a game. And, an unwritten rule for me, what my dad taught me, especially him coaching football, like if you score 21 or more points, you expect to win football games.
Expect to win football games. Yep. 100%. Every defense's goal is to hold the team under 17 points every single time.
Yeah. So, I hope this defense can figure it out. I'm not too confident because I feel like with what the front 4 is looking like, if they couldn't create pressure in the first 4 weeks, why should we be optimistic for the rest of the season, right? So
right, they won't. They just, I hate to say it, they unfortunately just don't have the guys to do it, and that's not a knock on them. It's just the reality of the situation. They don't have 4 guys that can do it every single play, so it's not going to happen. The only way it can happen is if you put your guys on the islands and you start bringing 6-man pressure, but they don't have the guys in the back end to do that either. So it's not a good thing right now for the defense.
Yeah, not at all. But Isaiah, all in all, I feel like the Chicago Bears will be in this football game. I feel like when you start getting in this role where you're continuously losing, now you can just go out there and play free. You really have nothing to lose because you're already losing, right? You're 0-4, you're starting at 0-5, and Matt Eberflus is really now fighting for his job. So he better have a damn good pre-game speech going into this primetime matchup against the Washington Commanders, because they're going to come to play. But Isaiah, do you have any actually, let's go on this. I don't really care about X factors at this point. I told you this before the show. I don't care about X factors, key matchups. The Bears just need to get a damn win at this point, right? So we'll skip a little bit on this pre-game show. And do you have any 3 keys to a Bears win here?
Pressure is one key. You got to get pressure on the quarterback. Only way they're going to even have success. Offense, continue to allow Justin Fields to get involved in the game both ways, pass and run. Don't limit him to just trying to be a pocket quarterback. He's not that. He is an athlete out there playing quarterback, so utilize him. And in 3, establish the run game. Try to control the clock. Try to keep that defense off the field. That is the best way for Chicago to win games right now, is to keep their own defense off the field. So control the clock, control the time of the possession.
And I think that's why, in the first 3 quarters against the Denver Broncos, that's why we saw a lot of success, because the Chicago Bears defense was off the field, right? It was constantly, we were putting pressure on Denver's defense, and that's why we're scoring so many touchdowns. But then the second that the Bears offense would continue to go 3 and out, it looks like Denver's defense made some adjustments, kept going 3 and out, kept putting our defense back on the field. And obviously when our defense is on the field, they can't get off the field on 3rd downs, right? They don't get any pressure, and they just make it look easy for opposing offenses to score.
Definitely. Yep. And that's a recipe for disaster.
So, Isaiah, let's go ahead and not waste no time. Obviously, the Chicago Bears need to find a way to win. What is your score prediction for this game?
They burned me last week. I went 31-28 Chicago last week, and it ended up being 31-28 Denver. So I'm going to have to go against them this week just because I don't like where they're at. I'm going to go ahead and say I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be 31-27 Washington.
Okay. If I had any glimmer of hope left, I'm going to use it
for this week.
For this week, the final time, because something tells me that that's what Justin Fields and offense needed. They needed a game like that to start clicking, and I think you will see some carryover. My question is can the defense do anything to help the offense? And that's what I'm not sure of. Yep. Maybe they surprise us, but they haven't shown us anything. So that's what concerns me about this Bears team at this point. But I think there will be some carryover from this offense. I'm going to give the Bears a slight edge at 27-23.
Okay.
And I know that may bite me in the ass because we're talking about the Chicago Bears here, right? But yes, I'm going to give them a slight edge here, 27-23. But this will probably be the final time picking the Chicago Bears if they burn me again.
Right. And it's going to be tough, but I could see Chicago put more than 24 points on this defense. But it's going to be hard. They, like you said, their D-line is legit, man. But I'm a big believer in Justin Fields, and like you said, they got a rhythm last week. Let's pray to God that they continue this rhythm moving forward on Thursday.
Yeah, but at this point, Isaiah, we just want to see a win. I don't care how it gets done. If he goes out there and rushes for 200 yards, and let's say he only throws for 150, and we win, it's a win, right? So, I think that's all Justin Fields cares about. He doesn't care about the stats at this point. He just wants to see his team win. So hopefully the Bears can get it done and move to 1-4. But if they do drop to 0-5 and lose this Thursday night football matchup against the Commanders, it's going to be really interesting to see what the Bears do as soon as Friday morning. But as always, Isaiah, thank you so much for joining me for yet another pregame show. And as always, to you, bear down.
Bear down.
You've been listening to Keek on the Mic, a podcast all about the Chicago Bears. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Thanks, guys, and bear down.